a striker better than Haaland, an unlikely replacement for Reus, a tale of redemption. Rebuilding Dortmund was fun. Let's start with a quick recap. We set up in your world mode with Bellingham already gone. We sold off some right backs, sent Salah Ozcan and Thorgan Hazard packing. In came Tim Brauthout, Petter Musa, Wendell, and Alexa Terzic. With all that, like real life, we didn't win the league. A late collapse precipitated by an injury to Gregor Kerbel saw us finish second, 2 points adrift of Bayern Munich. With a full season now behind us, we can use data in-game to identify what is required to take us to that next level. First, let's look at the tactic, see what we did well, what we didn't do well, and how the players performed. We used two tactics, technically just one, but mirrored, a Brazilian 4-4-2. We build up from deep and give our attacking players freedom in the final third. We counter-press in transition. We engage high, we hold high, we trap inside. Let's see it in action against Gladbach. Using fullbacks keeps them both deep in initial build-up. Here we can see 6 players against Gladbach's 4, with both fullbacks free. Terzic is playing on support here. He was excellent, creating chances for others, scoring the occasional goal, and helping in ball progression. That's what he does here, finding Brandt, who will drift wide. Our target forward drops deep, helping to link play. Eventually, it makes its way to Reus. The supporting attacking midfielder is a playmaker without the label. Roam from position, dribble more, take more risks. Expected to score and create, which Reus does by the bucket load. Here, he creates. Musa is in behind and that is 1-0. Musa was prolific, scoring nearly double his non-penalty XG, and his passes completed and progressive passes are indicative of that dropping deep behaviour we saw earlier in the move. Chances to talk about the keeper are few and far between, but Gregor Kerbel was fantastic for us. Preventing 0.06 XG per game isn't that impressive, but his ability to win possession, and more importantly, not lose it, is vital to our build-up. Defensively, we want to be compact. As seen here, however, the fullbacks can get caught wide. Not too much of a problem when you have someone like Niklas Süle. In this instance, a central defender on defend. Süle was an elite tackler, winning 85% of his ground duels. Aerially, not so good, but this is lowered by being a target at set pieces. His partner, Nico Schlotterbeck, is playing as a ball-playing defender. Now statistically he is not as progressive as Süle, but both players split time between both roles. Schlotterbeck was great at winning back possession. When we shift the ball to the right, we can see that our advanced forward is responsible for providing width, much the same as Brandt was earlier. Malen was an above-average dribbler and scored above his XG. The ball eventually finds its way to the attacking fullback. Ryerson, like Terzic earlier, was excellent in all attacking facets, creating, scoring, progressing. Joining the attack late, he'd often be found with these third-man runs. We do have some vulnerabilities on the counter-attack. Wendell here is our ball-winning midfielder. Great at progression, but disappointing at pressures and tackle win rate. He can get sucked out of position, allowing the opposition space between midfield and attack. Our defence, once again, is too wide, and Chan is too late to step up. Like Wendell, Chan's tackle win rate was disappointing, but was usually good at winning possession. That allows player to get in behind, but fortunately he was mere inches offside. A key component of our attacking play is having players in close proximity, even if they sometimes end up on top of each other. When Brandt receives the ball, there were 2 runners in Reus and Malen. Like many players prior, Brandt split time between attacking and support roles. He was a little step below Reus, but incredible nonetheless. Rarely lost the ball, created a ton, and great at getting into shooting positions. His one-touch pass sets Reus through to make it 2-0. There was plenty of time left for Reus to return the favour and register his second assist. A late Hummels header secured a flattering 4-0 win. Hummels was reliable in relief, strong both in the tackle and in the air. Right, let's make a solitary tweak to the tactic for the season ahead. We're going to focus on the right-sided version of this tactic for reasons that will become obvious a little later. We will invite crosses to encourage our wide defenders just to be a little bit narrower. There are still a few players to cover. In goal, Alexander Meyer filled in when Kerbal was injured. Meyer was poor, conceding 30% more than expected. So we sold him to Marseille for €2.1 million. Lotka was somehow worse. He only played a couple of games but conceded 80% more than expected. Still young, he's been loaned to Stuttgart. A left-back Rafael Guerreiro. Inflated a little by set pieces, Guerreiro was sensational. 0.48 expected assists is ridiculous. He was a liability in the air, is injury prone and wants a significant pay rise. So we sold him to Man City for €43 million. Felix Paslak does not want a significant pay rise and was a dependable deputy for Ryerson. Great attacking output once again, but not as good defensively. He was fine. Tim Brouthout backed up Chan and has been a bargain so far. The best tackle win rate and header win rate amongst our defensive midfielders. The least possession lost. Mahmoud Dahoud was our worst defensive midfielder for tackle and header win rate, but also had the best progressive pass rate. 16.8% of his passes were progressive. That's not enough. Sold to Lyon for €7.25 million. Giovanni Reina was really good. 75th percentile for expected assists and goals is brilliant, even if it pales in comparison to Reus and Brandt. A serviceable rotation piece. Our most prolific strikers didn't start that Gladbach game. Sebastian Haller was a monster, winning 53% of his headers and scoring more than double his XG. Karim Adeyemi was better yet, 0.94 goals per 90, 0.20 expected assists. Unplayable. Unfortunately, that also means unkeepable. Everton, yes, Everton, came in with a €95 million bid. You don't turn that down. That happened after we already agreed to sell Donyell Malen for $51 million to Manchester United. In fact, the exodus didn't stop there. Jamie Bino Gittins to Roma for $9.25 million. Marco Pasalic to Nuremberg for $825k. Hummels and Reus, as good as they are, were out of contract, and like real life, let go. We need some reinforcements. The squad planner looks something a little like this. Kinda scary. Antonius Papadopoulos, Ollie Polman, and Nico Schultz didn't play much last season, but they're still part of our plans as backups. Luca Umberhauen has been promoted to the first team squad, in part because he's homegrown at the club. But the plan is for him to be third choice, which means we need a backup. We need to talk about detail. FM processes games differently depending on the detail level, and that impacts statistics. As the league you're managing in is always at full detail, if you want to compare your squad to potential signings, then you want those targets at full detail for better accuracy. These are the countries we chose to load for this save. That's the top 7, then Austria and Switzerland for geographical reasons. These are the leagues we will focus on when it comes to recruitment. We will also filter for players who have played at least 900 minutes, the equivalent of 10 full games. Backup keeper might be the hardest position to fill. A player who is currently playing, performing as well as Gregor Kerbal, but willing to come in to play second fiddle. Ideally at an age where their development isn't stifled by riding the bench, and all for a modest fee. I'm not worried about possession lost, as this is indicative of their team's tactical setup rather than their distribution ability. Seny Dieng, Andreas Linder, and Jörg Sieben handle our options. Dieng is solid, just about reaching the thresholds we prioritised. He also speaks German, and more importantly, is on the transfer list. Linder also speaks German, has similar performance, and likely a more amenable wage. Siebenhandel has a better XG prevented and possession won, and is available on a 3. At 34, however, he might just be a little too short-term. Dieng is the choice. His higher pass rate suggests he might be more adaptable to a passing system. 1.8 million, 28k per week. At centre-back, we want a third choice, someone who we feel comfortable stepping into the first team regularly, either as injury cover or general rotation. Someone who is comparable in performance to Mats Hummels, maybe a little below. Someone who can still develop. Samson Baidu, Sinali Diamande, or Panagiotis Retsos. Baidu is exceptional in the air and good at both regaining and retaining possession. His tendency to stay back at all times might not be a great tactical fit. Diamande is exceptional in the tackle, effective at pressing, but not as good in terms of possession won and lost. Retsos is the oldest of the three and doesn't necessarily stand out. He is good, however, at dribbling and has positional flexibility. Diamande's top 5 league experience is key, and he arrives for €4.5 million, 35k per week. At left back, we do not need reinforcements, or more accurately, our answer is in-house. Reservoir dog Tom Roth spent the season on loan at PSV, where he was excellent at progressive passes and ball safety. He's ready for the first team. At defensive midfield, I want us to improve on Wendell, someone who dribbles as often, attempts more pressures, has a better tackle win rate, and more creativity. We'll happily sacrifice some ball security here. Again, someone with room to grow. I'd be happy with any of Lamar Bogard, Ledian Krasniki, or Moritz Oswald. Bogard does it all, but his price tag, along with his experience coming from Ligue 2, does give cause for pause. Krasniki is not as good at winning possession, but his 9.41 progressive passes is very intriguing. Oswald is more limited, but he excels in the areas that really matter to us, pressures and dribbles. And that's why he's the option. We expect him to regress a little, making the step up to the Bundesliga, but he can improve. Signed for €6 million and 29.5k per week. Replacing Marco Reus is a tall ask. There are 2 key metrics, expected assists and goals. We don't expect the same output, merely above the 90th percentile for attacking midfielders in both. That's 0.26 expected assists, 0.39 goals. Age is not a consideration. Yuri Medeiros, Gonzalo Plata, and Brian Samare, interestingly, are all left-footed. Medeiros' output is brilliant considering he sees a relatively average amount of the ball. Plata's 28 goal contributions is sensational, and his 90th percentile for dribbles excites me. Samare leads the way in goals per 90 and contributes in pressing. It's the dribbling. I just can't resist a dribbly boy. Plata arrives for 14.25 million and 50k per week. There was a player who didn't quite make the shortlist. Christian Notby-Linson did not have the expected assist output we were looking for. His 0.63 goals per 90, however, was sensational, and a fourth attacking midfielder won't be a bad thing. €12 million and he's ours. Finally, a striker. Well, 2 strikers. Again, we can't expect someone to match Adeyemi's output. Just get close. If we can get 90th percentile for goals, that's 0.62 per 90, I'll be happy. I would also want someone who's better at dribbling than both Adeyemi and Malen. Once again, age is not a consideration. Our options: Emmanuel Emega, Danny Gomez, and Yesik Gankam. Emega needs no introduction, outperforming his XG by 50%, in the 99th percentile for headers, 90th for dribbles. As is Danny Gomez, and his 1 goal per 90 is incredible. In fact, his name crops up amongst the best goal scorers in every single save I do. Gankam isn't just prolific, he's safe on the ball. And German. Emega's aerial prowess can't be ignored, even if he is a relatively known commodity. 18.5 million, 50k per week. We do need another striker, but that will be neither Gomez or Gankam. Once again, this will be solved in-house. Yusufa Mokoku wasn't particularly impressive whilst on loan at Werder Bremen. Julian Rykov, on the other hand, was pretty decent at St. Pauli. finishing as the Bundesliga's Zwei top scorer. Both will be given a chance to win the backup job. And so all that's left to do is play the game. A quick reminder, we set the lineup, hit instant result, give players a day's rest, then holiday to the next game. And here's how we got on. Hi. So, there was a development in January. Al Hilal came in with an €105 million offer for Niklas Süle. We always said we'd sell if an offer came in, because there's no way we're extending his $210k per week contract. Using the same criteria as before, just with this season's data, his replacement was Robin Koch, a $14.25 million acquisition from Bayer Leverkusen. And for the second season running, we lost Gregor Kerbel. Not to injury, but something worse. Chelsea. 86 million rising to 108 million is just crazy money. We couldn't say no. The options to replace him, however, were rather slim. Even Provedel met the criteria both this season and last, as did Jeremias Ledesma. Neither spoke the language, and with it being the January transfer window, fees were inflated. There was a third who met our criteria. Marcel Lotka was having an incredible season on loan at Stuttgart, and so, despite wetting the bed in limited opportunities last year, he was recalled to be our starter. Now we can get to the results. Champions. At a canter. We won the league with 5 games to go, smashing records left, right and centre. Most points, most wins, most goals by a team, most goals by a player. We were irrepressible. It feels a little cheap though. We scored nearly 50% more than expected. We conceded 33% less. We generated the most shots, but dropped to second in chance creation. We had the best cross accuracy, won the highest ratio of headers. We continued to restrict final third passes for the opposition. We were without doubt very good, just not as good as the league table might suggest. We secured a double, beating Bayern Munich in the DFB Pokal. Make that a treble, as we exacted revenge on Jurgen Klopp's Arsenal in the Champions League final. As for the players, well, Lotka was awesome. 0.93 XG faced per game, only 0.56 conceded. Lotka's path to redemption was incredible and unexpected. Seny Dieng was dependable when called upon, just 3 appearances, 3 clean sheets. Diamande's tackling was disappointing, reminiscent of Süle's last season, but without the header win rate to make up for it. Robin Koch was also just okay. His tackle and header win rate were above 70% until the last couple of games, and his possession loss metrics are impressive, but overall underwhelming for the outlay. Schlotterbeck stepped up in Süle's absence, the strongest in the tackle and in the air, whilst also picking up the set-piece goal-scoring burden. Tom Roth slotted in as if Rafael Guerreiro never left, incredible at pretty much everything. The possession lost metrics are part of the package when you're that progressive and creative. Terzic was safer and better defensively, but the difference is negligible. Both had a better statistical output than Ryerson, which is crazy because Ryerson put up 20 assists, although that was only 3rd best in the team. Paslak continued to be a solid backup. Moritz Oswald was brought in to improve our tackle win rate and pressing from midfield, and that he did, albeit in relief for Wendell, who also improved in those aspects from last season. Tim Breithout continued to impress as Chan's backup, more progressive, better in the tackle, not quite as safe. Linson was brought in as the 4th choice, and he was good in limited minutes, continuing to display that goal-scoring form from Ajax. Gonzalo Plata was sensational. 36 goal contributions overall, his per 90 for expected assists and goals was even better than Reus's last season. Not bad for a guy playing in the Spanish 2nd division. He put Brandt to shame, which is hard to do because Brandt was pretty damn good too. Petter Musa's goal scoring took a dip. In return, he was more creative, ending in the 90th percentile for expected assists. Haller, on the other hand, was as prolific as ever. Yusufu Moukoko isn't here because he lost out to Rykov and ended up out on loan. Rykov did pretty well with the opportunities he got, scoring 0.60 goals per 90. He didn't get many opportunities though, because Emega might just be the greatest player in the history of football. 1.34 goals per 90. 58 total in less than 4,000 minutes. He shattered Haaland's goal-scoring records. On the pitch, it's obviously been a success. Off it hasn't been too bad either. A total spend of 110 million euros is pretty significant. For that, we got 11 players. We also sold 15 players, recruiting 440 million. Excluding Jude Bellingham, our wage spend is now beneath 2 million euros per week. It started at 2.6 million, so we've cut that by more than 20%. Now it certainly helps having an academy of Dortmund quality. Lotka and Roth, even Rijkaard all contributed, and that's 3 fewer players we need to buy. Emega is a known quantity, but the acquisitions of Breithout, Oswald, and Platter in particular shows that digging into the data can really pay dividends. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing. And if you want to support the channel further, there's now a Patreon linked in the description below, where you can join these wonderful folks currently adorning your screen. See you next time.